All right. I am so excited to have this next speaker on your screens, friends. Now, I had the privilege of meeting her last year when I was in Puerto Rico, and I can tell you her energy and her enthusiasm is why she is such an integral part of all of ABC and the conference. And she plays a big role in how this conference happens and goes off. And this year, I'm telling you the things I'm hearing about the conference, Colleen, and the things that you and Aaron and the rest of the committee are doing, from the meet the speakers lounges to picking people up from for rides. It is you're leveling up this conference huge. So from a speaker and an MC, I want to thank you for going above and beyond, making
Absolutely.
sure that we are there to serve our best and be able to serve the attendees, as I know that's what's important to you. Before we dive into your topic, I do want to take a few minutes and I want you to share a little bit about why this conference is so important regardless of how long you've been in business. I want you from that side of the lens where you have seen the impact. If I'm 3 years or less or I'm 25 years and plus, why is this conference someplace I need to invest my money, and where will I get my ROI because I'm investing my time and attention in this conference?
It's a great question, Bobby. I for a long time, like from the very, very beginning, have been a big opponent of going to conferences and going to trainings. We give so much of ourselves as wedding planners and event planners that it's giving back to yourself.
Mhm.
And not only are you learning and being educated, but the level of networking that goes on. I mean, I have to say a big part of the reason why my business friendships with my East Coast. I could literally reach out to them and ask, okay, what are you guys doing? And they were so open, and you become friends with so many of the people that are at the conference. And, it's scary because I remember my first conference, I knew nobody. My first ABC conference, I went in, I was a total, I was a newbie, but they were so warm and embracing, and people wanted to know about me and where am I from? And friendships were formed immediately. And my first conference after that, I was like, I'm going every year.
Yep.
Regardless of where it's at. And I've really had a chance to travel to places I never would have gone. The ABC atmosphere is such a family, and they're so inviting, and there's just an amazing amount of friendships that are formed beyond your education. So it's a way of giving back to yourself.
And I will say this, coming from the outside, it is one of the very few conferences where somebody isn't saying, call me next week so we can work together.
Yeah.
It's about getting to know you and helping your business grow and meeting you where you are. So if you are on the fence about attending and you might be new, I'm going to tell you they're going to welcome you with open arms, and you will leave having a handful of things that you have to put in. You're going to have to do the work, but you will leave with things that you didn't think were possible because
Sure.
you've heard stories of others that have struggled and you've seen their successes. And everybody at this conference is still learning and growing regardless of the years they've been in. So I think that was really important for people to hear from somebody who is a speaker plus also on the other side. Now that brings us to your topics. Style shoots 101. Love them, hate them, leave them. Why in 2024 are we talking about style shoots? Give me the dirt, my friend.
Well, I'm really excited to talk about styled shoots because I remember when I first started, I had a photographer come to me and ask me to do a styled shoot with her, and I was like, "Why? What is the point?" I just could not wrap my head around it, and I said yes because I learned early on always say yes, and I said yes, and I did the whole styled shoot with her. Didn't know what I was doing. There was no education. There was, I couldn't really turn to anybody. I didn't understand the concept. I said, okay, great. And it was a Beauty and the Beast style shoot, which what are you going to do with that? But she really wanted to do it, and she was excited about it. And as we got into it, it got creative, and we got to do things you can't do with a client. And it is for so many reasons a great tool to have. If you're new, you kind of create your own material. You get to be creative. You get to do things you never, were able to do with a client. And they'll hear a lot about it in my presentation if they attend, but I really talk to the group about having a purpose to do the style shoot and knowing what your purpose is and creating this amazing team and making them feel like they're all part of it. Because yes, it might be your idea and your concept and you're directing it, but everybody plays an important part. And I talk about all of the ways to make everybody feel like their piece is important as well. So there's a lot of reasons. great advertising. It's great for social media. If you get published, which we have quite often, like in the Wedding Planner magazine for ABC, if you're doing it for a venue, if you're doing it for a new photographer, it helps to create relationships with people that you ordinarily haven't gotten to work with. There's so many reasons, and it's fun. It's so fun.
So I'm going to put you in the hot seat. You do these style shoots and you have all these amazing photos. I want to know why we are not more real and more authentic. I know it's a way to learn. I know it's a way to start. But when I see Instagram and Facebooks and even websites, I want to hear from you. Why are we afraid to put, this was a style shoot that I did, this is something I aspire to do, instead of sometimes leaving clients think, oh, I can get that for a $10,000 budget. Click, I'm going to hire you.
So you're asking, why do we not be more transparent that it's a style?
Yes.
We are. My company is. We're very transparent. They clearly know it's a styled shoot. We're very careful when we're building the styled shoot, and we're very kind of secretive because we want to surprise.
Right. Exactly.
And we do some behind the scenes, but not a lot, because we find that the publications that we're working with, they don't want us to advertise all over Instagram and Facebook. They really want us, which is hard because a lot of our wedding pros and our friends, they want to show it and they're excited about it. So we do have them sign an agreement before we get started that this is going to be a little secretive until we're completely done and showing the finished product so that we can get it published. But we're pretty open. I mean, it's clearly a style shoot. And you can kind of tell, Bobbi, that it's a style shoot.
Exactly. And I think that's what we are forgetting, that our clients are getting smarter, right? Mm-hmm. Our clients are realizing that, oh, I wonder if that was just for a magazine, or I wonder if they would actually do that, because I love style shoots. I've been part of plenty, but I always came with the premise of, if I'm going to be part of a style shoot, I want it to be known that if you use my photos, I want you to know that this was set up. This was not a Saturday afternoon where it looks like you had all day long just to photograph the menu, right? I want that to be known. And our clients are seeing through some of that. And I think, when I hear, and I'm out speaking, I'm hearing a lot about the newer, like 5 years or less, especially wedding planners. And they're like, I'm only getting work if I do a style shoot, which is a whole different conversation. But you are saying, and I love the way you hear this, that this can be used to actually challenge you to be creative in a way that you probably won't be doing on a wedding day, but it also keeps you and challenges that creativity in you.
Right. And that's right. You have to be relevant in your style shoot. You can't go so out of the box that it's not real. I mean, because clients are looking at our style shoots. We do have a whole section that, and we're showing on Instagram and on our social media, and we talk about this is a style shoot, but we do look for what's hot, kind of pushing the envelope, but not so much so that it's not realistic, that you can't really create that.
Yeah, because like if somebody comes to you and says, I want a Bridgerton wedding, the only way they're getting that idea is by looking at some of these styled shoots. I mean, you can watch the TV show, but realistically, are you going to go get those dresses? Are you going to wear those hairstyles? But I could have a reception theme this way. And how important is it, if you're going to do these style shoots, that maybe you do something that you would like to do that's realistic, and then you really start putting it out there and trying to find the clients that are itching for that, maybe over the top of floral, or maybe that over the top of food. And in a style shoot, you have the ability to showcase your talent, but then you can say, who wants to do this with me? How can we take that style shoot and then start inviting our clients? If you like this, please, let's sit down and talk. How can we flip that style shoot into asking for a booking? Who wants to do that?
Absolutely. And you can look at trends and you can push the envelope a little bit, but not too much, not so much so that people are afraid to do that, because it's interesting. Pinterest is so popular. And as wedding planners, we look at Pinterest, and when we're designing an event, we get their Pinterest board. Almost 90% of our clients have a board and they've worked on that. But we really look at that Pinterest board, Bobbi, and go, okay, that's your inspiration. We're going to push the envelope, because we don't want our weddings to be Pinterest weddings. And we don't want our styled shoots to be Pinterest styled shoots, because if you think about it, Pinterest is actually a year to 2 years behind, because the wedding's already passed. You've been planning it for a year. It goes on to Pinterest. So sometimes those trends are a little bit behind. So when we look at Pinterest, that's for inspiration. And then our goal is to push the envelope further. So
Are you one of the planners that ask your clients, bring me your inspiration board before, like if they have a meeting with you and they set up, they want to reach out to you and set up, do you immediately do a follow-up pretty quickly about bring all your inspiration, bring all your photos, bring all your books, bring it all to you so that as the fairy godmother, you can go, whew, not going to work, or whew, possible?
Yes, somewhat. We do ask for the Pinterest link. We do look that over. We have a pretty in-depth questionnaire that we either go through with them or they fill out for us. And then we work really closely with the client. And we talk a lot about this when we're talking to a new client with Fairy Godmother, is that when you look at our social media, there will not be one color. There will not be one jive. There will not be one feeling, because we really, our goal is to personalize every single event for that client. So we have 12 girls on our team. So when you look at our Instagram, it's very different. There's all kinds of different styles on there because no one client is the same. You know, I found it really interesting this season because we've had a lot of black and white weddings. The last probably 5 weddings we've done have been black and white, but each of them has their own style and their own element. You can clearly tell they're different events, even though they're the same colors. And that's a big goal of ours, is that we want to personalize our client's event, and we want to bring their vision to life, but even better. So yes, we definitely look at their Pinterest as a guide, not to copy. And same thing with your styled shoots. You don't want to copy a Pinterest.
Yeah. Right. If everybody's doing Bridgerton, do something different or do it differently, right? Well, I do follow you, and I know that you do a lot of corporate events. Are you are style shoots, can they fit into the corporate world as well and help land corporate gigs? Because maybe a company says, well, you're a wedding planner. What do you really know? I just had this happen. One of the questions that got asked to me at my session. And I was like, mindset confidence. That's a question. These are my wedding planners. She's in that room over there. But it's they want to really leave weddings and go into corporate. And their strong suit as a planner is doing style shoots. So is it possible that you could do some style shoots for corporate, and then corporate people go, oh my gosh, they set that room differently and it looks differently? Will you touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. So I haven't done a style shoot for corporate, but what comes to mind immediately is that we're working with an energy company right now, and they're celebrating their 90th anniversary. And I found it interesting because they did go through our website, and she said, I looked at your corporate events, and the events that I liked were the ones where you really brought back your hometown, Bakersfield. We had one event where we did a whole farmer's market, because we're a big ag town, and we did a whole farmer's market, and we celebrated all these different like local ag clients. And that was very attractive to this company because they're also local. So if it's not a styled shoot, you certainly want to show your corporate work if you want corporate accounts. And when I first started Fairy Godmother, we were probably 80% weddings and 20% corporate. Right now we're 50-50. We do 50% corporate and 50% weddings. And you have to get started. You have to do one and you have to show it off. You have to do another one and show it off, because corporate, like you said, they don't want to hire necessarily a wedding planner, and they don't want their corporate event to look like a wedding. I've had a lot of my controllers at corporations say, I don't want the wedding feel. I want it to feel like a company party. So.
And now that corporate events are coming back, I think that's really important for those that, we're always talking in this industry about, especially now, I think it's more relevant now, or maybe just I'm hearing it more because I'm now 62 years old and I'm listening to these things differently. But it's like when I first started, it was like, no, you're just stay in the weddings, be a career person. Now it's, what's your other avenue streams? What else are you going to do? How else are you going to grow? And for me, it was like, well, I'm a photographer. So in my studio, we did weddings on the weekends, but Monday through Thursday, we did headshots, we did corporate things. I was like, so I didn't think of it as other streams. That was what my job was. Where now I think we look at it as, okay, I'm a wedding person, but I want to be an event person. You have 12 people on your team. And now that you're 50-50, do you think that having that team has allowed you to break into doing more corporate, especially now that corporate's coming back and there's a need for it? And then the second part of that question is, do you think every wedding planner should do corporate?
To answer the first part, absolutely. You have to have a team to do corporate, because you are responsible for working with the setup team, being there the day of, and then making sure everything's torn down. You're there full circle with the corporation. But most of my corporate clients, Bobbi, I'm kind of, starting them and working with the client while the team's behind me, helping make things happen. But I couldn't do it without a team. I couldn't do practically anything I do without a team. Wedding planning, you can do by yourself with maybe one or two other people, but corporate, you just can't. There's so many more pieces to it. So absolutely, the team's a big part of being able to, do corporate. I also, when I first started Fairy Godmother, I was working another job. It's difficult to do corporate when you're working another job because corporate wants you available during the day or, at 1 o'clock or stop by their office at 2 o'clock. And you can't do that when you're working another job. You can work another job and do weddings. So I found that once I left my corporate world and worked Fairy Godmother full time, it allowed me to do corporate much more than I could before. And then to answer your second part of your question, should a wedding planner do corporate? That's very much a personal decision because corporate's a very different ballgame than weddings are. I love it because corporate gives me a different avenue and I get to be creative in a different way. Many times with our corporate clients, they'll come to me, we'll go over budget, we'll go over theme, and then they're go, like you do it. And we come back, we present to them the concept, the idea, we hire all the vendors. Like they're very hands off. That's the reason why they're hiring us. They don't.
I think it's less emotional, right?
Yeah. Yes. Right. There is.
Do you think it's less emotional? Yeah. And I think that is one of the things that I see. Right. I think that they're like, look, write the check. Here you go. Just do what you do. Because in the corporate world, that's how they want to be hired. Right. And so I think, and I love the fact that ABC incorporates both wedding and events, because I think if you're doing one versus the other, you might find, okay, I want to ease my way into this, or you know what, I'm going to put my efforts in the wedding side and just keep doing that. But I love the fact that we both agree that there's no emotion, and I think that as a personality, you have to have that personality to go, wait, you're just going to let me do it? You don't want to question the colors every 5 seconds? I think that's hard to let go of.
Yeah, and the other thing I found too, Bobbi, with corporate is that you have to be okay with being the behind the scenes person, because you primarily are working for one person in that corporation and your whole goal is to make that person look good. And so I'm really proud when I'm at a corporate event and I hear their boss saying to them, wow, you pulled off the most beautiful event, knowing that our team did it, but they're getting the credit for it. And you have to be okay with that as well, because at weddings, you clearly get all the credit. At corporate, not necessarily. Sometimes it's that person that's in charge. But I'm really proud when I hear that, because I know that I've made that person look good. I know they're going to invite me back over and over and over again, which I want. I don't want my corporate accounts to be a one-time gig. I want to have a relationship with them and to do their events over and over again. Quick story, I had a hospital that I interviewed with, and the director said to me, you will be my 4th event planner I have fired within a year. I was like, okay. And so that is a challenge. And we have been with them 4.5 years doing all their events. So that's the great piece of it, is that you do form a relationship with them. And it is often repeat business. For weddings, unless you're doing baby showers and bridal showers and things like that, not necessarily, repeat. But corporate is very much repeat. And you do have to be okay with being the behind the scenes person.
And I love it. I think the flexibility. And this segues a little bit into the fact you just said you build these relationships. Why Fairy Godmother events? Because if I hear Fairy Godmother, I'm thinking you can make everything happen, because that's what a Fairy Godmother does. Did you think about that when you decided to name your business? Like, it's going to be where I'm always saying yes? Or have you really used that Fairy Godmother to be realistic? Like, as your Fairy Godmother, that's not going to work this way, but let me help you create something else. I just think we have so many people that are changing their business names, or they start with just a name and then they go, you know what, along the way, I'm going to change it to my own personal name. But you have stuck with this. So I would love if you share a little bit about the why behind it, because I think it explains a lot about your personality.
So when I first started, as a kid, I loved Disney and Cinderella, and I knew that was going to be the name. And but what I didn't know, Bobbi, is that it would take on a life of its own, and that especially groomsmen is so funny. Sometimes they can't remember our names, but they remember Fairy Godmother, so they'll call us Fairy Godmother. And so, but early on, probably my first year on, I did a big corporate party, and it was a weed company, and they were celebrating their 45 years of business. And so we sat with the owners of this weed company, And I had a really a great conversation with them, because at that time I was feeling like for my corporate clients, I need to change the name. I need to be Fairy Godfather, or it needs to have a less feminine kind of name, girly name. And they were so great. They came back to me and said, Colleen, do not change that name, because when we were interviewing for other event companies, your name is part of the reason why we hired you, because who doesn't want a fairy godmother to take care of them? And these were guys in their late 50s, very much a male dominated company. And I'll never forget that. And I still see them from time to time, and I still bring that up and talk to them about it. But it did bring on a life of its own. It's a hard name to forget. And it does have this, magical kind of, theme to it, but more so for us to step up and make sure that we are delivering that. I feel like the reason why we have been able to do what we've been able to do is that we stay very humble. We do a lot of events, we have a lot of relationships in town, but never take that for granted. Every single event we do, we have to make sure to take care of that clientele and take care of those wedding pros. And we try and make sure that everybody, the guests, the clients, and the wedding pros are all taken care of. And we want everybody to have that great kind of magical feeling when they work with us every single time. You cannot, no matter how successful you are, you have to stay humble, you have to stay relevant, and you can't let your guard down, because that's your reputation.
Exactly. And that's how you will stay in this industry, is by your reputation. You can make a living, but you want to stay work and you want to keep building. It's the reputation. I want you to leave our listeners with, how is the best way to come to ABC, to come to this conference about educating and empowering? What do I need to do to prepare? How am I best to show up where I can soak it all in? Give some tips for those first timers, repeat people, just generally, what's the fairy godmother tip to show up and be ready to receive?
I would challenge yourself. Have a certain amount of business cards with you each day. And your goal is to give those business cards out and to receive business cards back. Take notes, put notes on the business cards. And after the conference is over with, contact those people, say hello, write a little something that you'll remember them by, follow them on social media, have them follow you on social media. And go in with, I'm not going to sit and talk to the same person throughout the whole piece. I mean, I'm bringing one of my designers with me, and we will not be sitting together at lunch. That's my challenge whenever I bring somebody, is that you have to sit at another table. You need to meet people, because the conference is so much more than, like I said before, education. It's the relationships. And if you're not talking to people and sitting with people you don't know, you're not going to form those relationships. So I encourage you to do that and to give yourself a goal. It's scary. It's uncomfortable when you don't know people and you're talking to people. One of the things that's kind of fun is that I'm on the board with Erin, lucky enough to be on the board with her, and our team is working on the design of the whole conference, which I'm very honored and proud that we're doing that with them. And we are currently right now working on a style guide. And so all of the guests that are coming will have a style guide to help them with what colors should I wear, and what should I wear to this event? Because sometimes you don't know, especially if you've never been to a conference, and you want to feel good when you get there. So we're going to help you with that.
And I just love the fact that, we in this industry take a lead, and we take an email, and we don't think twice about meeting somebody in our offices because we're in charge. We're used to that. I might be really scared, but if I want to make $1, I got to book a client. So I would like everybody to shift that mindset for, I'm coming here to this conference so that I can better myself and be with people that are also wanting to improve themselves and be a better service to current clients and future clients. And if you come with that mindset, there's nobody here to be afraid of. There's nobody here to compete with. There's nobody here to show off for. Just show up authentically and be yourself. And I promise you, Erin, and what you are doing, it's going to be such an impact on attendees. It's going to be an impact for the speakers. I really encourage a lot of speakers to apply this year, because I saw the changes that were happening, and I'm honored to be a part of that. And I just want you to come as an attendee and be ready to open up your notebook, open up your heart, and open up your mind, and leave being empowered, along with being educated. But more, I want you to leave being empowered. And that's what the conference is doing. That's what this team on the conference is doing. That's what Veronica and the new leadership is doing. So if you do not have your tickets, please get your tickets. In the meantime, follow Fairy Godmother events. And if you need to reach out to her ahead of time and ask a question, do so. Because I've been encouraging our attendees to reach out ahead of time. And if there's something you need from her, You might say, hey, on this day, can I get 20 minutes of your time? And let her find 20 minutes of the time to talk to you. So follow the speakers, reach out to them and get to know them. We're here to learn. We get just as much from all of you as you give to us. So thank you so much for spending time with us today. I look forward to seeing you in St. Louis. Get your tickets. Come and let Fairy Godmother events sprinkle some magic on you and remind you that you're exactly where you're supposed to be doing what you're supposed to do. So I will see you in St. Louis, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobbi.